Hello everyone, welcome to General Hospital Daily Channel. Please hit the subscribe button and give this episode a thumbs up. Liesl and BRITT and the truth that is being carefully withheld. Let us start with Liesl because this conversation is operating on multiple levels simultaneously. The level where Liesl is asking about her son's twin, the level where BRITT knows considerably more than she is saying, and the level where the audience knows something that neither of them does, which is that Cassius is alive and working for the WSB. Liesl wants to know what happened to Cassius's remains. This is the maternal instinct in its most specific and most heartbreaking form. She lost Nathan years ago. She was told she lost Cassius more recently, and she wants to be able to do the thing that mothers do for children they have lost, which is mark their passing with appropriate dignity. Where is his body? Where did it go when it left that pier? Why does no one seem to know? These are completely legitimate questions. And the answers to them, which exist somewhere in the institutional machinery of the WSB that arranged what happened to Cassius after Jocelyn took down Cullum, are being kept from her because the truth is something the organization has decided to conceal. BRITT is the person Liesl comes to with these questions because BRITT is the person who would logically know the most. BRITT knew Cassius was Nathan's twin when he showed up in Port Charles impersonating her brother. She knew before she said anything to anyone. She maintained that silence for reasons connected to the medication she believed was keeping her alive, the specific leverage that was used to purchase her quiet. She has now admitted that she knew. What she has not fully admitted is the scope of what she knew and how long she knew it. The backstory with Cassius goes back further than Port Charles. BRITT would have encountered him, or at least knowledge of him, during the period when she was working with their father. The 5 Poppies. The time when she and Faison were together in ways that most of the Port Charles audience does not have full visibility into. Cassius almost certainly knew she was his sister well before she knew about him. The relationship between them has layers that BRITT has not offered to Liesl, and that Liesl is pressing for now. What BRITT tells Liesl is carefully managed. She describes what she has been trying to find, information about where Cassius's body went, which she has asked Anna to help locate. She describes what she knew about his history before the last year, that he was working with Jens and Cullum, that they were both recruited because of their connection to their father's last project, the cold fusion operation that defined the summer. She says she does not know more than that. But BRITT does know more than that. Or, at least, BRITT is in a position where she should be asking more questions than she is, because the specific strangeness of Cassius's body not appearing at the morgue is exactly the kind of anomaly that a physician with her training and her specific personal investment in the answer should be pressing harder on. Liesl's warning to BRITT, "You cannot under any circumstances put yourself in their debt," landed in the context of BRITT having gone to Anna for help with this search. And what Liesl understands that BRITT may not fully appreciate is that Anna's offer of help was not the offer of someone who simply had relevant information and wanted to share it. Anna made the offer in a very specific way. In person only, no written record, complete secrecy. That is not how you share information with a colleague. That is how you conduct an operation. And an operation requires the person you are operating on to be in your debt. BRITT is walking toward Anna's meeting with a genuine hope of finding out something true about a brother she has complicated feelings about. Anna is walking toward that same meeting with Peter's voice in her head and a piece of land on a mountain already purchased. What BRITT is hoping for and what she is going to encounter when she gets there are not the same thing. And Liesl, who does not have all of that information but who has decades of experience with how powerful institutional figures use personal vulnerability as operational tools, is trying to stop her daughter from walking into it. Whether BRITT hears that warning with the clarity it deserves is the most important question in her storyline right now. Because Liesl is completely right. And BRITT is about to go to a meeting with someone who is much more dangerous to her right now than anything connected to finding Cassius's remains. The drug in Brennan's drink and the chain of events that could already be in motion. Now let us talk about what Drew and Ava have done, and why the specific detail about Brennan's recent medical history makes this so alarming. The scheme itself is described in the preview, and it is specific. Ava keeps Brennan occupied. Someone, presumably Ava, puts something in Brennan's drink. Drew gets access to the hotel room to search for the blackmail evidence. This is the plan. The plan is not designed to harm Brennan. Drew specifically does not want to hurt him. But wanting and producing are, as has been noted in this show before, Different things when you introduce a chemical substance into someone's body without any knowledge of how their system will respond. Here is the piece that makes this particularly alarming. Brennan has been through his own version of significant physical stress this summer. The WSB has not been an easy or peaceful organization to lead across the months we have been watching. The specific demands that have been placed on him, the cover-ups, the deals, the institutional pressures, the personal complications of his relationship with Nina, have been the kind of sustained stress that takes a toll. The parallel being drawn to Drew is significant. Drew was in a locked-in state for months. He was chemically paralyzed, injected repeatedly with a paralytic agent, physically impacted in ways that his recovery has been addressing step by step. His medical situation across that period was genuinely extreme. The preview description notes the similarity. Brennan has also recently recovered from something physically demanding, and a system that is still in recovery, that has been through unusual stress, that may be taking medications or may have vulnerabilities that a person who is not his physician would have no way of knowing about. That system responds to unexpected chemical input in ways that cannot be predicted. An overdose scenario, an allergic reaction, a complication from an interaction with something Brennan is already taking. The range of possible bad outcomes from giving an unknown substance to a person of unknown medical status is not narrow. And the preview showing Brennan appearing uncertain, a visual cue that something is already affecting him, suggests that the bad outcome is not hypothetical. It is happening. Drew may not come forward with what he and Ava did, even if not coming forward endangers Brennan. That detail is specifically noted, and it is the most morally damning element of the scheme's execution. If there is information that could help the medical team treating Brennan, information about what substance was used, when it was administered, what the dosage was, and Drew and Ava withhold that information to protect themselves while Brennan fights for his life, that is not simply a bad outcome of a failed scheme. That is active contribution to potential harm through deliberate choice. Brennan's confirmed fall exit from the canvas is the shadow over everything happening in this storyline. The question has always been not whether he dies, but how. Whether it is the heroic Jen's showdown, the Willow crossfire scenario, or something connected to the web of schemes that have been building around him all summer. The drug in the drink appears to be setting up a different version of his exit than the action hero one that had been speculated about. One where the immediate physical crisis is caused by Drew and Ava's scheme, where Brennan fights for his life in a hospital for a period of time, and where the final resolution comes through some subsequent event while he is already vulnerable. That would make Drew and Ava not simply bystanders to Brennan's death, but causes of the conditions that led to it. Even if the final act is performed by someone else, the Jen's showdown or the organizational response to his corruption or something else entirely, the chain of events begins here, this week, with what goes into that drink. Nina is going to find out what happened to Brennan. She is going to find out that Drew and Ava were responsible. And she is also going to find out, right around the same time, about Willow's recording scheme against Brennan, the blackmail that Willow was planning to use against the man who has been doing so much to protect them both. The combination of those two discoveries landing on Nina at the same time is going to produce the most significant emotional rupture of her entire summer arc. The full picture, and what these stories mean together. And now let us step back and look at what Liesl pressing BRITT for the truth about Cassius and Drew and Ava drugging Brennan share as stories, because the connection between them is not coincidental. Both of these stories are about people who have been protecting themselves through information management, through deciding what to reveal, when to reveal it, who gets to know what, and in what sequence. And both of them are arriving at the point where the information management is becoming unsustainable. Thank you for watching. For daily update, don't forget to subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon.